Terrific film. And it's a film chosen by this month's guest programmer, a lady who brings common sense to television and has for many, many years. I'm talking, of course, about Judge Judy, who's here. That is a lovely film with great performances in it. When did you start going to movies? Where did you grow up? For somebody who's in my house all the time, I know very little about you. I know you're married to a judge,
right.
But where did you grow up? A small town, big city?
I'm a Brooklyn girl.
Yeah?
Brooklyn girl, and started to go to the movies. There were two movies in our neighborhood. One, a small theater on Avenue U in Brooklyn. Alphabet. It was very simple, you know, like me, straightforward. It was A through Z in Brooklyn and 1 through 20. Okay. So you were on Avenue A and East 19th Street. You knew exactly where it intersected. Right. This movie theater was on Avenue U in Brooklyn. It was a very small movie theater. And, of course, when we went to movies in those days, you got to see two movies.
Right.
Right. And trailers in between, usually a newsreel, some kind of interesting trailer. And that was the movie that I was allowed to walk to, because it was only 3 blocks from the house.
Right.
The other movie theater was on Kings Highway in Brooklyn. That was the Avalon Theater. And that was about 6 blocks away from the house. Now, in order to go to that theater, my mother had to drive me. So, as a young person, our favorite movie theater was the Avenue U Theater because we acted independent. We could go along. But the better movies were at the Avalon.
Was it tough growing up in Brooklyn?
No, it was wonderful. In those years growing up in Brooklyn, there was a sense of community, and I went to wonderful public schools where they expected you to give your best, and they didn't tolerate bad behavior from students. It just wasn't tolerated. I think that I got the best of being brought up in New York, and I had a wonderful, supportive family, so I had a terrific childhood.
When did you gear towards law? When did that become a destination for you?
You know, I think probably early on, since I had actually no acumen for science or math, chemistry, biology. Anything that had to do with a number was my enemy. But I had a sort of common gift of language, not an eloquent gift of language, but I could relate, and I understood people, and I understood what motivated people. That was my natural skill. Everybody has one, whether it's basketball or football or science or math or history. Everybody has something. That was my skill, and I was just very fortunate to be able to take that was a natural ability and direct it into the law, because the law gave me a base for so many other things that I was able to do in my life.
Well, you're certainly successful at what you do.
Thank you.
Yes, and a part of our lives.
And fun.
Yeah, great. And you still obviously enjoy what you're doing.
I sure do.
Yeah, good. Well, we're going to move on. Up next, Judge Judy is going to come back and help me introduce another film she selected as this month's guest programmer. This one's from 1937 and made Louise Reiner the first performer to win 2 consecutive Academy Awards for acting.
Tonight on Turner Classic Movies, guest programmer Judge Judy picks her final film, The Good Earth. Then see a living legend in Louise Reiner live from the TCM Classic Film Festival. And Louise dances by herself, The Great Waltz.